les interrogatifs en français, c'est-à-dire des questions. Alors, comment est-ce que nous formons les questions en français? Pensez à notre classe. Par exemple, quelle est la date aujourd'hui? Quel jour sommes-nous? Quel âge avez-vous? Est-ce que tu aimes les cornichons? Le formulaire ou formula pour formuler des questions en français, c'est comme un sandwich. I know, another sandwich metaphor from me. But instead of the sandwich that you think about when we talk about negation with ne and pas, think of this sandwich as a multi-layered, double-decker club Dagwood sandwich, something with a lot of different layers. This is the part of the video where you need to take really good notes, and you probably want to use some colors. You can use the ones that I used here or different ones. Bon, alors, le sandwich, c'est pour les niveaux, les layers différents d'une question en français. Le premier niveau, c'est les mots interrogatifs or question words. We'll see a more complete list of these in just a moment, but for now, examples of question words would be qui, quand, où, pourquoi, etc. After the mot interrogatif, if there is one, would be est-ce que. Now, a lot of students, when they see it written, will mispronounce it, something like S-A-K. But remember that this is the S and this is the que. Est-ce que. After est-ce que comes your subject. It could be something like a pronoun like je, tu, or il, or it could be a name, Pierre, Annie, Jean-Claude, or it could be any noun, la table, la France, les Américains, etc. After the subject, of course, comes the verb. If there are more than one verbs in your question, you will have the conjugated verb first, like va, fait, aime, ou mangeons. Notice that you don't always have to have an interrogative word in your sentence. You could have a sentence, where do you eat sandwiches? Or just simply, do you eat sandwiches? If you don't need an interrogative word, the first thing in your sentence would then be the est-ce que. Here are some examples with our 1, 2, 3, 4 elements of our sandwich. Où est-ce que tu habites? Where do you live? Qui est-ce que tu as en mathématiques? This is an example of a question with some extra stuff at the end. But the part that we're really concerned about is putting our first 4 layers in correctly, and they must always go in this order. Mot interrogatif, est-ce que, sujet, verbe, et puis le reste. Qu'est-ce que tu aimes manger? What do you like to eat? Mot interrogatif, est-ce que, tu, verbe, verbe. Notice that the first verb is conjugated, the second verb is in the infinitive, just like always. Et puis, pourquoi est-ce qu'elles étudient les verbes? Mot interrogatif, est-ce que, sujet, verbe, et le reste. Notice here that we have a contraction. Why? Well, because est-ce que, the word que ends in a vowel. So when you have subject pronouns, il and elle, singular and plural, which start with vowels, you'll need to make the contraction. Est-ce qu'elle ou est-ce qu'il. Again, there's no space in between the que and the il, just like the QU apostrophe was always there. Est-ce qu'elle. As promised, here's your list of interrogative words. Répétez avec moi. Qui, quand, où, que, pourquoi, comment, combien. Some of these require a little bit of an explanation. Par exemple, qui. Avec qui, il y a beaucoup de variations avec des prépositions. Par exemple, à qui, which means to whom. De qui, which means about whom or for whom. Pour qui would mean for whom, and avec qui would mean with whom. So in English, you would sound very much like a grammar snob if you said something like this. With whom do you go to the movies? In English, we would probably say, who do you go to the movies with? However, that would be incorrect for French. We cannot start a sentence that way. When we have an extra preposition that accompanies qui, it will always go before the qui. And in fact, the preposition will then be the first word in your sentence. The word quand means when. The word où means where. Notice that there is an accent grave. What if I left off the accent grave? What word would I have? Or. That's right. So it's very important that we get the accent in the question word. Que and its counterpart, QU apostrophe, are also very important, and they mean what. Many times you'll have, instead of an est que, you'll have qu'est-ce que. Many students don't notice the que that comes in the beginning of the sentence, but it makes a big difference, doesn't it? Do you versus what do you? Pourquoi means why and looks a lot like but is not the same thing as its counterpart because or parce que. Notice that when you have pourquoi in your question, you will most likely have parce que in your answer. However, we cannot substitute one for another like in Spanish. They're completely different words. Comment is the word for how, and it's often looking for a description. For example, if I said, Comment est ton père? I'm not asking how your dad is doing, but rather, what is he like or what does he look like? An answer to the question, Comment est ton père? Would be something like this. Mon père est grand, il est beau, il a les yeux marrons. Finally, combien de is asking how much or how many. So the answer to this question will involve a number or an amount. There are 4 more question words, and they all sound the same. Quel. Quel means what or which. Notice that there's masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, and feminine plural versions of the word quel. So this will require you to think ahead a little bit about what you're about to ask. Quelle est la date, for example, or quels livres sont ici sur la table? You'll need to know what you're about to ask about to choose the right version of quel. Let's look at these. We see these every day. I use the feminine version of quel because I'm asking here about la date, which is clearly feminine. Here, I use the masculine version because I'm asking about jour. Jour is masculine. We'll get into inversion in the next video. Have you noticed that the est que is missing in this case? Usually what you're going to do after you use a quel is either go straight to the verb or to the thing that you're asking about. We'll talk about why all that is in the next video. Merci de votre attention.